Hello everybody, what's going on? This is Nasdorachi here, and I'm joined this afternoon or evening, depending on when you're watching this, by Gale. And we are here to talk about some Pokemon Unite business outside of your typical guides or strategy type video. Before we get into the thick of it, why don't you go ahead and say hi to the audience, Gale?
Yo, what's up everybody? How's everybody doing today? Looking forward to talking about this because this is quite it's an interesting topic, and it's one that's been, being discussed quite a lot, especially in the Pokemon Unite community, and, players who are shifting from actual MOBAs to here, as well as just general Pokemon players as well.
Yes, so I'm sure many of you, at least by, reading the title, already know kind of what this video is about, but we're kind of going to delve into a semi-debate, but not really, but we're going to be covering the controversial topic of, is Pokemon Unite really pay to win? At the end of last month, right when the game came out, there are a lot of very sizable creators even who put out a lot of content suggesting that the game is pay to win. A huge audience saw that, probably much larger than what's eventually going to see this video, unless we were really lucky, but that spread the message out to a very, very large community, aka the player base for the game, that, they might not really want to play this game or invest any time into it. Basically sent out kind of a negative message. And I'm here today to debate the side of, although I do think the game is definitely pay to fast forward, pay for an advantage early on, I don't really think that, over the even first few months of the game's lifespan, that's going to really be one of the issues that plagues this game, at least for people who don't play the game extremely casually, right? If you're at all invested in this game and you're able to put in, at least a little bit of daily or bi-daily game time into it, and that's what you're interested in, I think these problems that were noticed on day one, again, are going to curve out. Like if you're imagining a graph, and it's not going to be as damaging as what the initial synopsis was. But why don't we start off with Gale here? He's going to, I guess, give us a quick rundown of what the community was really upset about on this initial impact of seeing these alleged pay-to-win systems, specifically upgrading the held in-battle items, the 3 items that your Pokemon can carry. So why don't you guide us through this?
Yeah, of course. So I agree with Nas. I definitely think it's more pay to progress as well, but I can also see a lot of the players' frustrations with it, because when you think about it as well and you see the held items, you basically require an item called item enhancers to increase it, right? And you can only obtain these item enhancers via a very few ways. One being potentially leveling up your battle pass, through the shop via buying tickets, and buying tickets requires real life currency as well. And overall, the biggest and easiest way to get it is probably just by buying it, literally. So the immediate impact it has is obviously on held items. Now, the held item situation is such that you get some variety of held items. They can be for specific types of Pokemon. Some improve the special attack, some, improve your HP in that you can restore health faster or get health back quicker, and increase your health stat as well. Movement speed as well, cooldown. Yes, there's a lot of buffs that are available through these held items, and you're able to upgrade them using these item enhancers. Now, these item enhancers will allow you to basically upgrade them to up to level 30. So the maximum is level 30. So far, I think Nas and I have been playing since the launch of the game, right? And Nas has mentioned, I think we were talking about this before, he mentioned that his items are at level 15 across the board. I think he mentioned for his current
up to 20 now.
Up to 20 now even, yeah. So what happened with me was I started off as and mained Garchomp, right? I mained Garchomp and I leveled his items to 14, 11, 10. And that was because I wasn't expecting God of War to launch until much later. Turns out God of War launched within a week of the game. So I had to switch to God of War, who used a completely different set of items in that she started to use Shell Bell, Wise Glasses, and special attack specs, whereas for Garchomp, I was using stuff like Lefties, Muscle Band, and I think one more different item completely to what, I think it was Rocky Helmet. Yes, Rocky Helmet. So I'm already lagging behind. I mean, in this example, completely, as you can tell, I'm already lagging behind Nas in that regard. So it already goes to show, like, if you don't plan on paying, you're going to be at an inherent disadvantage to somebody who's also not paying but is only sticking to one style. Whereas if you want to try and go and play with multiple styles, if you're trying to be not necessarily competitive, but if you're trying to be competitive, you're gonna be wanting to shell hole yourself into one type of Pokemon until you can max out all of their items before you can consider switching to something else and then leveling those items again. So again, if you're planning on if you're planning on playing, and if you want to be competitive, you're already shoehorned into one style of play. And the reason because of why as well is, I'll give you guys an example for Shellbell, for example. Shellbell goes from 1.6 special attack increase at level 1 to 24 at level 30, which is a huge difference. And Assault Vest at max level increases the base HP by 10-fold compared to level 1. So let's place two starting players as well on the same platform, one who pays, one who doesn't, and let's say they go into standard matches. The player who doesn't pay is going to have an absolutely rough time going up against the player who's paid for all the item enhancers and everything, increase the levels of all their items that they needed to. They're gonna be utterly demolished effectively. There's no option in that. And this is a problem, especially in a MOBA, if you compare it to, say, Dota 2 or Smite, which I know a lot of players have come over from there to play Pokemon Unite as well. It's heavily influenced by skill-based. It's a skill-based game. MOBAs are usually skill-based games, and real currency only comes into cosmetics, kind of like it does here for the most part. But then you get these item enhancers and stuff, which is kind of similar to League of Legends rune system. Nas mentioned this on stream a while back. So Nas, if you want to explain the rune system a bit more, because League of Legends is run by the same people who are developing Pokemon Unite, funnily enough.
Yeah, so essentially League of Legends has a similar system, and for any League of Legends fans who are currently listening, please forgive me as I have not kept up with the current iteration, but it was essentially the same thing. Like, over the ages when I started playing League, you know, way back when it first came out through Season 2, there was a system where you could equip essentially with different like trees of, you know, maxing out which decisions you want to make, different kind of passives that would globally affect whatever character you were playing as, right? So it's very similar in nature to this system, and it did require a time investment. Basically, like this game, I think they were planning it around the similar concept, but as far as I can recall, there was no way to literally pay to fast forward in that system. Basically, everyone had to go through the same grind, and once you had your setups maxed out, you could kind of just save them as presets and load them when you swap characters. And, you know, it was kind of an ancillary system, which is what I honestly think this is over time. Again, we're not trying to debate, you know, any bigger creator who says this game is pay to win. I would just more say we're trying to interject that it's more of a pay to fast forward. Like, that, it is that. There's no denying that. But if you've played the game, say, for example, as long as what you would need to in League to max out a couple different sets, then provided they don't power creep the game by adding new items constantly that you're always going to want to be chasing that are better than these starter ones the game launched with, I don't think it's going to be that much of a problem in, you know, 3 months to 6 months from now. For those people who are still playing the game, obviously, it's going to be an issue for new players that pick up the game, say 6 months from now. They see an advertisement, their favorite Pokemon's come to the game. Maybe they want to give it a try. But at the same time, that's going to be an issue with that new player regardless of paying to win, right? Because whether you're free to play who's been playing for 6 months or you pay to get the items, if you're 6 months in, you're going to have that advantage over a brand new player regardless, right? Because you're going to have put the time in to earn the stuff. I think Gale's strongest point that he just mentioned is that this system is most restrictive for free-to-play players that do want to play multiple roles. You pick a Pokemon that you like for me, I generally play Pikachu, who functions really well off of 3 attack damage based items, be it, you know, the Muscle Band for the crit, the Shell Bell for the ability power, and the health restoration. Or there's a plethora of different items that if you pick a general role as a free-to-play player, like say you want to mainly play attacking characters, whether you're jungling or playing damage in a lane or even supportive damage, you can kind of pick some items that will apply across multiple of these roles, and that's going to be the free-to-play player's best way to kind of enjoy this game, because picking one single character, like that you only are going to main that one character, it works if you have a pre-made team with all your friends, but it's very difficult in the public queue because people will just pick whatever they want and lock it in. and you might have to be the better man, better woman, the smarter person on your team and choose a Pokemon that fits a role that's desperately needed on your team instead of just queuing up who you want to queue up as. And if you don't have any items that are going to help you in that situation, it does make things a lot more complicated. So I definitely will agree with the bigger creators that this system of paying to be able to level up the items definitely does speed things up, especially when you have enough money to be able to afford to do everything. But the overall experience, if you play the game, enjoy it, and put some time into it, you're not going to be at so much of a disadvantage because of this item system that it's, you know, competitively even going to force you from not being able to play. My best advice, again, pick a general role. Like if you like attacking or if you like supporting defense, build a set around that, and then that can be used across a bunch of different Pokemon. So for me, I generally will always play an attack role, but if there's no jungler on the team, I can pick jungle, and my items will still be good enough to fulfill the jungle role because jungle, you want to jump out and do a bunch of damage. So I think that's the best plan. However, I wouldn't say that, again, provided they don't start power creeping items, that this is going to be an issue for very long. And that was my main point of getting into this whole kind of debate, that those of you who are interested in the game shouldn't be immediately put off and consider not trying it specifically because of this issue. Because again, if you put the time in, if you find a pre-made team, if you play really well, the item system, where it is noticeable, there's no denying that, can be easily outskilled. Like if your lane positions are always really good, you have a functional team with a jungler who's supporting your lane when you need it, you can outplay people that maybe even have an item advantage over you. And honestly, you'll never really even know it because you don't know what your enemy's using. At least as far as I've seen, there's no way to check the builds of each individual enemy you're facing. So ultimately, I think that if you play well, if you learn the game inside and out, and if you are completely free to play, you just stick to an item set that'll be versatile for a couple different Pokemon in various situations, I don't think that this is going to be a problem that'll make or break the game experience for anyone. And I don't think those videos the creators put out should immediately convince you that it's not worth trying, specifically because of this item system. Because, you know, again, I've casually put in about a week and a half into the game, and I have my main 3 items at level 20, 20, and like 18, I think. So,
yeah,
you know, and the level difference between the 20 and 30 is nowhere near as noticeable or significant between 30 and not having one at all, right? So you'll still be able to enjoy the game and be competitive too.
I completely agree with that. I think it's more of like a time investment than anything else. I do see, like you mentioned, you know, it's the biggest difference is only between, like, say, a starting player paying and a starting player who's free. But yeah, overall, I think that's, I completely agree with that. One more thing I also want to point out as well is this is a bit more or less, I think this is a lesser concern than the item enhancers, because item enhancers are continuously in the game and we don't even know if they're going to add anymore. But even when buying, say, new Pokemon, right, you're only limited to getting 2,100 coins a week. So if you play a lot of Pokemon Unite, you'll notice, like, after a point, you won't even get coins anymore. You'll be capped at 2,100 coins a week. Now, if you think about it, you play, so you pay for a starter Pokemon at 6,000 coins, which is 3 weeks of grinding, basically. That means 8,000 coins, so 4 weeks, and then 10,000, so that means 5 weeks of just playing the game regularly, right? This is not necessarily a problem depending on their schedule of release and how much they plan on adjusting these Pokemon up and down. Like, for example, look at the most recent patch notes. Absol is a complete monster right now, so more people are going to be interested in going like, I want to buy that Pokemon. And it's like, so do I even have the coins to buy it, especially since the recent release of God of War at 8,000 coins. And then on top of that, it also depends on how often they release these units. So obviously we had God of War last week. Maybe next week is Blastoise, and it's a every 2-week cycle. And if you're a player who just wants to, you know, play multiple Pokemon, you're gonna have to probably buy the currency or buy the Eos gems instead of being able to farm the coins, because you just won't be able to farm enough even for a 6,000 Pokemon every 2 weeks, that's not possible at all. So I think that's also where it's coming in a bit, but not as much as the item enhancers. Nas, what do you think?
Oh yeah, I was gonna agree with you, but I was gonna basically forgive them for that because I think most every free to play MOBA has had that structure in it. Like League of Legends is exactly the same. Like brand new champions will come out, they're more expensive. You can earn the free to play currency, but if you are impatient, you want it now. That's where they're trying to make some of their profit margin, mostly between that and the cosmetics. So I personally find that a little bit more forgivable because you could 100%, assuming you have a pre-made team and everyone has pretty defined roles, you could competitively be the best in the world and, enjoy this game to the fullest by only playing your one favorite best Pokemon, right? So that's more of, I would say that if you're a collector, you're definitely going to have to bust out the wallet and spend in this game. But if you're just trying to be good, play competitively, you can get it down to, you only need to own 5 Pokemon to play ranked. So you get it down to your top 5 Pokemon that you like, and you're pretty much good to go for the rest of the game's lifespan. However, over time, they are likely going to, put out some Pokemon you might be interested in, and you're just going to have to either be frugal or cough up the money for those ones. So
I agree. And plus, I'll also add to the other side of it. For the ranked matches thing, they give you 5 Pokemon for free, basically, as well, off the get-go, right? You have to just log in for Cinderace and Greninja, you level up for Venusaur and Slowbro, and you get Crustle on the 7-day mission thing. So, yeah. Well, you get three from logging.
One you pick for free, and then you pick one for free when you first start, too.
So you're more than fine, because you get, I think in total, it's like your starter, Ninetales, Cinderace, Greninja, Crustle, Slowbro, and Venusaur. So that's 7 Pokemon right there, if my math is right, that you're given for free. So in theory, that's at least there. And maybe in the future, they might do more stuff like that once, the roster expands a lot. And maybe 6 months, 7 months down the line, they might let you get another Pokemon for free from the older collection. So like Garchomp and so on and so forth, the ones that came out at the launch. Maybe.
Yeah, and then for standard, for the non-ranked, you always have the rotation of free ones. Those just don't apply in ranked. And ultimately, based on what you're saying as well, for those people who may not be whales necessarily, quote unquote, but are interested in spending a little bit of money in the game every once in a while, like you mentioned, I'm sure once the roster gets big enough, they'll sell like a character pack, right?
Yeah.
And the only reason I say that is because, again, like every other MOBA in the world has done that. Like you look at Smite, there's purchases where you can get like large sections of the characters, like, spend $30 and you get like 40 characters, right? So I would assume that that's in the future for this game as well, assuming it does well and lots of Pokemon come out. I could totally see that because this game could have a roster big enough to support, hundreds of playable characters. So.
I agree. But yeah, that's all from me. I think I'm pretty much hit the points that I think everybody was discussing, as well as some of the ones that I thought as well were affecting you. Any final thoughts from you, Nas, regarding anything?
No, I think to wrap it up and put a bow on this video, we're not trying to say that these bigger creators or anyone who said the game's pay to win is wrong. We're not 100% disagreeing with them. We're only just saying that I think time will definitely alleviate. The free-to-play players can still be competitive. And, I was just kind of emphasizing more of it being a pay to fast forward is the proper terminology I would use. But, we're not disagreeing with anyone out there. It's definitely frustrating, but something that if you enjoy the game enough can, I think, be fixed without investing money.
I'd like to add one last point before you can close it off. I'd also say that the biggest thing about this game is playing it with friends. That's the biggest thing. Like, if you go in with the pre-made team, you can probably, and let's say the opponents are completely like unknowns to each other. You're facing a team of bunch of solo queuers, and one of them is paid. A well-made team can probably outmatch a paid player completely. Like, that's how the importance of a good team game is very high in this game. So enjoy it with your friends. Make sure you have friends going in with you. Try not to go solo, because that's where problems can begin. No communication with the team, and obviously you're probably facing against some players who might have been, who might have paid for their items to be completely maxed out. It can diminish your experience. So definitely enjoy the game with your friends if you have if you have friends who play the game as well. And then, of course, if you can, obviously look up online. There's probably a lot of players who are looking for teammates as well. link up with somebody. There's a lot of options like that.
Yep, and that about wraps it up. I guess if you enjoy seeing content like this and you're new around here, consider hitting the subscribe button. We would love to see you on all of our future videos. If you did enjoy this one in particular, consider hitting the like button on it as well. Helps boost it. Maybe an algorithm might pick it up and throw it out there. And other than that, I hope you guys have a great day, and we'll see you on the next video. Peace out, everybody.
Bye-bye.